probably my most anticipated movie of 2023, Deadpool and Wolverine, finally hit cinemas. Went to a midnight showing last night. Definitely too old for midnight showings. Fear not, this is a spoiler-free review. Let's get into it. Oh, and I got the second last Wolverine cup as well. All the Deadpool ones were gone, sadly, but I did get a Wolverine one. Anyway, let's fucking go.
Don't just stand there, you ape. Give me a hand up. Nope, I'm actually okay. Thank you very much.
So because this is going to be a spoiler-free review, it's probably going to be a fairly short review because there's not much you can say about this movie without veering into spoiler territory. But as I said, fear not, I will keep this spoiler-free. There's nothing I'm going to talk about that's not shown in the first teaser trailer-ish. So, Deadpool 3, aka Deadpool and Wolverine, takes place a few years, I think, maybe 2 years or a few years. Anyway, it takes place a number of years after the events of Deadpool 2. Wade Wilson is living his best life along with his friends who are also living their best life. They are living thanks to the timey-wimey shenanigans at the end of Deadpool 2. All of a sudden, Matthew McFadden's TVA agent turns up and recruits Wade to be part of a world-saving mission. Wade, aka Deadpool, then recruits a certain adamantium-clawed former X-Men, to help him with his mission, and without saying too much more, that pretty much sums up the plot of Deadpool and Wolverine. That's it, that's all I'm going to say about the plot. When Ryan Reynolds announced, I think it was on his social media, on his YouTube channel, that they were going to make a Deadpool 3 and that Hugh Jackman was returning as Wolverine, myself and, every fan on the internet had some concerns. Mainly there were three things that I thought about when that announcement happened. One, how are they going to not fuck up the perfect ending of Logan? How is this not going to desecrate that memory? Two, how is it going to fit into the various, cinematic universes that it's part of? Because Deadpool is part of the X-Men universe, kind of. Deadpool's part of his own franchise, and now that Disney bought Fox, Deadpool is going to be part of the MCU. So yeah, that was number two. How is it going to fit into that? And then number three, is it going to be any good? So let's talk about each one of them. So how does it handle the Logan element? I would say pretty satisfyingly so. In a very Deadpool way, that issue is more or less addressed in the opening scene, in what I would say is a very satisfactory, very Deadpool way. So number two, how does it fit into the various franchises that it's part of? So it's the third Deadpool movie. It's something like the 12th X-Men movie, or 14th if you count the other two Deadpool movies as X-Men movie. And it's technically part of the MCU, which itself is up to movie number, I think, 35, and 8 TV shows that are also part of that. So, that's a lot of baggage. Do you have to have seen all of these movies to enjoy Deadpool and Wolverine? No. Will you get an extra kick and an extra level of enjoyment out of this movie if you have seen all of the Deadpool movies, all of the X-Men movies, all of the MCU movies and TV shows? Absolutely, you will, yes. But plot-wise, exposition-wise, you don't really need to have seen all of them to enjoy this movie. They do a good job of dropping exposition here and there to catch everyone up who's maybe not seen every single movie and TV show that it connected to. So yeah, they handle that relatively well. It's not quite like Endgame where, if you haven't seen the previous 20-odd movies, you're not going to understand a lot of it. But there's an element of that, but not too bad. And then that takes us to number three. Is it any good? Holy fuck. Yes, it's great. It's fairly safe to say that the character of Wolverine is intrinsically linked to Hugh Jackman. Likewise, the character of Deadpool is linked to Ryan Reynolds. The thought of anyone else playing those characters isn't really a thought that any of the fandom want to entertain. So yeah, character-wise, acting-wise, these two do a great job, as expected. The supporting cast as well is good. Emma Corrin plays the bad guy. I'm not sure if her character name was in the trailers or anything, so I'm not going to say who she is, because that might be a bit of a spoiler. But yep, she does, a decent job as, bad guy. Matthew McFadden as the TVA agent, also very good. And character-wise, that's it. Not going to mention any other characters because this is a spoiler-free review. But let's face it, the supporting characters are the supporting characters. This is a two-man show. This is the Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds show, and they show off very, very well. Script-wise, dialogue-wise, as expected, there's plenty of fourth wall breaking, although not as much as the other two movies, I think, or maybe it just didn't feel like there was as much as the other two movies, but there's enough there to make that element enjoyable and not too much to make it, you know, a little bit overbearing. The banter between both of them is enjoyable as well, both the verbal banter and the physical banter. That's a good laugh as well. Tone-wise, pace-wise, yep, tone is spot on. You know, a movie where your main character breaks the fourth wall, that's a very specific tone. And it's, you know, Ferris Bueller style. It's you know, perfect. I think, you know, again, Ryan Reynolds being so dialed into the character of Deadpool, you know, he's never going to not nail that. I think runtime is just over 2 hours. I think IMDb has it at 2 hours and 7 minutes, but obviously that's like, you know, 10 minutes of credits as well. So it's not overly long. It's a solid 2 hour action comedy buddy superhero movie. So, you know, if that's your thing, that's your thing. I would also suggest that you avoid any pee breaks throughout this movie. Even though it is only 2 hours, the pace of it, like I said, is quite fast. Scene by scene by scene, there's the potential for things to be missed if you go for a pee break that you definitely don't want to miss. So yeah, pee before you go is my advice. The look of the movie is good as well. There's nothing overtly CGI. There was one shot where I was like, ooh, the CGI kind of like is a bit overbearing there, but it's literally just one shot. And it was a very cool shot that they couldn't do without CGI. It's got a kind of a modern enough look to the cinematography, but it's still a little bit down and dirty and gritty, especially the fight scenes between Deadpool and Wolverine. So you know, that's good. In keeping with the other two Deadpool movies, there's a good couple of pretty awesome needle drops of, you know, music from like the 90s and noughties. So, you know, if you're of a certain age, you'll definitely enjoy them. In case you haven't guessed it, I loved this movie. I'm going to give it 9 out of 10, which is actually the highest rating I think I've given a movie since I started the channel. I'm not saying it's my favourite movie of all time, but I don't think I've given a 9 out of 10 to any movie since I started the channel about a year ago. So, you know, there you go. Deadpool and Wolverine, Scottish Geek Guy's first 9 out of 10 movie. It works as a Deadpool movie. It works as an X-Men movie. It kind of works as an MCU movie as well. If you liked the first two Deadpool movies, you'll like this movie. If you liked most of the X-Men movies, you'll like this movie. If you liked the MCU movies and TV shows, you'll like this movie. If you've enjoyed, at least in some part, any Marvel movie made by any studio, you will enjoy this movie. On that note, it's an unexpectedly heartfelt, genuine tribute / love letter / send-off to the Fox Marvel Universe. If Logan was a perfect send-off for the Logan character, Deadpool and Wolverine, at least from a certain point of view, is a perfect send-off for Wolverine and the Fox Marvel X-Men cinematic universe, I suppose, if that's how you want to put it. There are scenes during the end credits. There's a mid-credits montage scene that's worth sticking around for, and then there's a very, very, very end credit scene that's also worth sticking around for, so make sure you check them out. I think that'll do us for now, folks. Thanks very much for watching. As I said, I've got the soundtrack for Deadpool and Wolverine coming soon. When that arrives, I will put an unboxing video of that here. Until then, I'll put a different video here, whichever one that may be, or is it here? I can never remember which side on. Anyway, there's videos linked here, and I'll catch you on the next one.